Live. We are live. And
Hello.
on the airs. Well, not this airs. Never mind.
Air's on the air.
Airs on.
We need some intro music, man.
I am. We do have intro music.
Dun,
Well,
dun,
like
dun,
another
dun, dun, dun.
jingle.
Welcome
You
to the
got yourself-
podcast. Dun, 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 with your host. Dun, 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 dun.
A news
Cool
report.
people. Hell yeah, news report.
I could do a theme song. I could do a theme song.
Alright, go ahead.
When the jazz loons testifying, the faithless man believes.
That's good. That works for me.
Bring
They got me
you
going.
to paradise, or bring you to your knees.
Jazz Loon.
Got up
Oh, I
top.
should start the stream with the game, right?
It's up to you.
I mean, that
I mean, we got a lot going on. I mean, Frank just with the how many
Doing a
things do we
jazz
have
man
now?
cover.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Howdy, folks.
We're doing an episode about covers on video game vinyl.
yeah.
Sorry,
You
covers.
mean like-
Jacket covers?
Uh,
Yeah, we're both lost, huh? What sort of covers, Atrix?
You know, like music covers, covers of things, covers of stuff.
Taking original music and attempting to make it your own.
Yeah. So well said.
Is that always the case? Is it always trying to make it their own, or is it
No.
just trying to make it legal to press?
Well,
A little bit of both.
Is that the same thing?
yeah.
Depends who you're asking.
Yeah. I mean, we had this discussion in the chat room earlier about whether or not the Donkey Kong Jam and Sam Miller is like that's not technically a cover, but where does it exist in the world?
And we'll get to that one. But we got a lot on our docket. And the one I wanted to start off with was the hero. Is this Hero of Time? I already forget.
Yeah.
Yes,
we
that
need,
is
we
the
need
hero
more
of time.
descriptive names of them that do not include the words hero, song, or time. I cannot
Shield
personally keep
warrior
track.
of the clock.
Triangle.
Golden triangle shield warrior.
Triangle,
from the
man.
Green Forest.
That's gonna be the next D Master. I'm gonna make that one. Just gonna call it Triangle Man. It's just gonna be a super minimal, super minimal link that you can't even recognize, as seems to be the trending idea with the art.
Just blur the shit out of him.
Can't believe it's not Zelda. This
Oh, I've never heard that one before. Not a minute before we went live.
no.
so, Hero of Time is by Eric Buttholes, I think.
Wow, do you have something against this man? Because
No, that's
I'm sorry.
just
No, I think that's just his name.
I gotta
did you
go.
pronounce it with a T?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's how you pronounce that name. Okay.
I mean,
it's
probably
just S, I don't know.
I'm seeing the name now of Eric Buckholes.
probably like
I thought it was a long U, like a boot
Buchholz, yeah.
Buchholz.
The educated among us
I'm gonna
might
put this name in
recognize.
chat. Just yeah.
That dude's gonna watch this podcast. Oh my god, someone's finally talking about my shitty vinyl, and then we just butchered the hell out of his name.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, Eric
I'm
Buckholes.
sorry.
I apologize to the Buttholes estate for the podcast.
I'm sure they've been dealing with it all their life.
So we got our first take on here. Pico said it was shitty.
Oh, you don't like this one, Pika?
I think I'll just call all of them shitty, probably.
The in-depth discussion with Pico.
The consistency there.
I remember this album was a big deal because
It was
it's
pretty novel. It was-
like there wasn't much Zelda on vinyl yet, I think it was basically just Moonshake and like the old Nintendo release.
Yeah.
And it was put out by, it was a collaborative effort with Materia and Diam 8-Bit, right?
Yeah.
It's a little gimmicky. There was a 64-piece orchestra.
Oh, that was the gimmick.
That's a very committed gimmick.
Yeah, I think that was the case.
Not 63, not 65,
63 and a third.
64.
Just enough.
I remember like thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm just an idiot, but I remember thinking like it was sort of official or something when I first saw it.
Oh yeah, they definitely made it hard for you to tell that it wasn't, especially
funny, bro.
because. And this album is like it definitely looks better than most
Yeah.
like trying to be official cover albums, I think, because that iconography and the die cut of the ocarina
Yeah.
is just like a lot of cover albums, just as we'll probably see, don't use the non lawsuit inviting assets
Yeah.
to their best abilities.
Oh my god.
This album also had some issues. I remember like the first LP sounding kind of bad on the first press because it was a very heavy splatter, and in subsequent pressings it sounds a lot better. But I have
Is this
one
the
of
one
the.
that had like the gold was the original one? That sounds good.
Is there a
That's
gold?
like I think
There
that's
is a
like the
goal.
Kickstarter backer version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
that
think that's the
one's
only
fine.
one that sounds good.
Chat's agreeing. Gold was Kickstarter. I don't know.
I
a lot
enjoyed
about this.
listening to it, and obviously, like it was. It's an album from front to back, Ocarina of Time, and that's pretty. Especially before last year, we didn't have Ocarina of Time in full, or maybe what 2 songs from the Moonshake Zelda. Like
Yeah, it had like
it was
the.
it was decently done. Like I never had a problem with it.
I haven't listened to it in so long, but I remember liking it.
And I really liked the end when they had the item get sound effect, and they just like they extended it over like 3 minutes, just like the build up, and that was such a good way to end the album, I think.
So it kind of did its purpose before a bootleg almost, but which is
Yeah.
I guess, as good as you want to get with a release, especially Zelda. Because
And
you
yeah.
can't just make
How-
it the
How
song.
true is it to the original music? It's been a while. I have that one, but I can't say I've spun it recently. Is it pretty true to the source material, or is it like its own thing pretty solidly?
Yeah, it's just
It's like
a live orchestral
medleys
recording.
and stuff. I think if I remember, like it kind of like combines a lot of tracks from the game like into single tracks in kind of like medley form. I think.
I see.
Well, so pretty positive reviews for. Let me look at Hero of Time.
I thought
And
it was a
that-
decent starting out point.
And that was, one of the earlier sort of cover-esque albums in general, right? In VGM.
Yeah, I remember it. Like all IM 8-Bit releases, it took forever to come out.
Uh-huh.
I remember
So
having it pre-ordered for a long time.
It had that novelty on top of having the novelty of being Ocarina of Time, which probably did it quite a few favors at that point,
A few. probably.
regardless of its quality, whether it was good or bad. Not to say one way or the other.
There's cute girls in this game.
Well, I'm gonna move on to our next one that is pretty. I think in a similar vein. That is this Johto Legends.
Yeah.
was
Um,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'll be honest, I never listened to it.
I have.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's a few Pokemon releases that I don't own, and I've sort of lost sight of which ones are official and what aren't. And it was actually news to me that this was even an official release.
Well,
Truthfully.
official.
Well,
It's not sanctioned by the Pokemon Company or Game
sure.
Freak.
I guess that's a different discussion, huh?
Maybe.
But this was also I Am 8-Bit / Materia Collective.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it definitely has the feel of we made a lot of money off of Hero of Time. Let's do it again.
Let's go again.
Let's go again.
And just like I don't know how everyone else feels, but just like the cover art on it, like it's a great idea for the gold foil, but it means absolutely nothing to me. And
That's kind of how I feel about
Does
it.
it my question is, does it mean actually mean absolutely nothing? Do we have any I don't know, Japanese readers in here who can tell us if that actually means anything at all?
What's that thing say?
Because it may truly mean nothing, which would be rich.
I'd have to imagine it had something going for it.
it's
Oh, I'm seeing it means Eric Butthole. Okay.
we got a bunch of comedians in the chat today.
Oh,
it
it
sounds
means
fun.
Scooby.
This sounds
Oh, okay.
plausible. Yeah, yeah, the whole minimalistic foil front cover. It's a tightrope to walk. I feel like
Uh-huh.
it's so easy for it to just come off as. I don't know, it always looks nice. I mean, gold on black, like, it's gonna look good. But
You can't mess it up.
yeah, but at the same time, it can be so lackluster.
Right. I don't remember this. Like,
I don't
what it sounds
remember it either. I don't remember
Which one are we
it
talking about?
Johto Legends.
Shadow Legends.
Oh, that one sucked.
Hold on. I saw Carrie hyping this one up, and she's in our waiting room. So I'm gonna try to get someone's opinion from the waiting room for each one that
damn.
we go through.
The gatefold is sick for Johto Legends.
I like Johto Legends. I understand why people are ambivalent about it. I also know that people have like a lot of issues with this release because they did the split black and white records. So people tend to like they have like pops when the color changes, right? No, I like Johto Legends. I think it does exactly what any good cover album should do, which is like, maintain the spirit of the original material, but, either elevate it or do something new with it. I mean, I'm a sucker for orchestral covers anyway, because I arrange a lot of those. But
And it seems a little bit more. I don't know. Is it easier to do something different with it when comparing it with the last one, where it's like we're using Game Boy chiptune music versus the N64 sound fonts, which aren't orchestral by any means, but they do a better job.
certainly an upgrade.
They do give a
A bit,
wider
yeah.
range.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different. I think part of the issue is like the way that the Ocarina soundtrack sounds while playing the game feels very iconic. And again, as you said, it's not like live instruments, but it's a step up from beeps and boops. To really stray too far from the original instrumentation or the implied instrumentation in the N64 soundtrack, I think would sort of stray a little too far from the spirit of the game.
Uh-huh.
It feels like you have a little more creative freedom when you're adapting a Game Boy Color soundtrack
For sure.
like Johto. So
That
I mean,
nostalgia
I
seems
also
like
I
an
know
important factor too. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure there's people who, you know, just as soon as people who would love to see it, like that soundtrack exist in any other format, or such and such soundtrack exists in any format. There's some that are just so iconic in their own right, and
Yeah.
that like it almost seems like a fruitless endeavor potentially, especially if it's not like brimming with creativity.
Yeah, so I mean that's a great point. When when they started coming out with the actual Ocarina soundtrack, I knew I wasn't going to listen Hero of Time again.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, Johto Legends, which was one of the first VGM albums I ever bought, whenever it came out 5 or 6 years ago or whatever, I also have, the Gold, Silver, Crystal release, but I still listen to Johto Legend simply because it's such a different flavor to those tracks.
Which is, I guess, is kind of like the ultimate way you'd want a cover to go. Is both are serviceable and something you'd want to listen to, as opposed to what you said about Ocarina and just I won't listen to the covers anymore. So
yeah, it's like it's different enough, but it elevates the soundtrack in a way that I find really compelling. I mean, the other thing, and I mentioned this in the chat, what Johto Legends and Hero of Time both have on a lot of other, quote, cover albums, is that they have actual live musicians on both. Like, they used actual live orchestras for both of these releases, compared to some, quote, cover releases like fucking Simian Symphony comes to mind. Where it was like, I'm doing I'm sure, yeah. It's like, doing an orchestral cover album, but not having any live musicians. It's just like,
Yeah,
That's
hearing
orchestra.
the Simian Symphony, sounded like what you would bring to the table as demo tracks for a live orchestral recording.
right,
Concept or something.
Putting it.
right. Like what Finale generates when you've finished the arrangement. You can run a MIDI file of it. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, Simian Symphony is
did I really not get a
not
picture
good.
for Simian? Whatever. Okay.
Here's the thing, I would love to see like an actual orchestra do Donkey Kong Country. I think it would be great. But a simulated orchestra, or basically just using, MIDI samples for a quote orchestral arrangement. It's so flat. Like you get no musicality
Soulless.
out of it. So anyway, I think Johto Legends is good. I know a lot of people don't. I'm also an enormous simp for Gen 2 Pokemon, so.
Oh, there it is.
What's your
The
favorite
truth
Gen
is
2
that.
Pokemon?
Crobat.
Yes, hell yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm just looking at all the pictures of this album and seeing like the reflection on the jacket and each one of the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reflection of the person taking the picture.
Right. I didn't really look that too into it, but yeah, you sure can see that person in their phone. But all right, thank you, Carrie, for talking to us about Johto Legends.
You got
Yep.
it.
All right, what do we got next?
I'm stunned and appalled that we have not seen DK64.
I know. I feel
God.
like it's a matter of time, but damn.
I'm not sure. I just
monkey.
assume because it is Donkey Kong, it's a very well loved game, and it's probably my most played Nintendo 64 game.
Mhm.
But I assume that about Banjo-Tooie as well. But apparently everyone plays Kazooie, so I don't know if my barometer for understanding the popularity of N64 games is very good. That's what
Yeah.
I've come to realize. So
Well,
I don't know. Was
64 sucks. So
is it not beloved like I assumed? I mean, it's all the same. It's the same shit as Banjo, obviously.
No. Honestly, I think DK64 they went too far.
Too much monkey business.
They just went too far. Too much
Good.
collectathoning.
It did. I feel like rewire my brain at a very young age to be okay with that type of thing. Which
Yeah.
societally, probably not good.
Banjo-Kazooie is like very good balance. DK64 is just like, come on.
Going crazy, go stupid.
That's all I had. So I was enamored by it, and all the little shots of dopamine I got every time I collected a new banana. So
I should probably revisit it though.
I've
maybe
heard
I'll
it's
enjoy it
still-
now.
I heard it's still rough, but
I hear there's
like,
still a lot of things to collect. See,
Yeah.
I just
Music's
thought it was a
great.
joy.
yeah, the music is always good.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the Banjo-Kazooie music, like, why would you not like the DK64 music?
Gonna go
It's
crazy
so
over that.
similar.
All right, I'm gonna move us on to. Do we want to chill or do we want to talk about Bit Brigade type stuff?
We can do that.
All right.
Yes, do either.
Either or. Yes, I chose Bit Brigade,
Okay.
and I'm
I mean-
gonna. Who do we want to bring in to talk to along with us about Brit Brave?
Bring in Brave
Brave.
if you can. Are they in the
Whoa! What the
waiting
fuck?
room?
Yeah, here's Berber Graper. Hey, Bib. Hey, Bit Brave.
I'm having a stroke.
We have Aster of
Fucking bones in your face, guy.
the Bit Brigade.
Boomerangs.
Hi.
What was
Hello,
it
hello,
like
hello.
recording these albums?
It's
It
not
was-
good.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Very.
Hi, we can hear you, Esther.
Oh, awesome.
Hi,
Hi. Dang, this is a first. I usually get sit in silence.
You, so
Hi,
you're part
um,
of Bit
what's up?
Brigade, right?
I was actually asked to leave.
Oh,
forcibly.
okay. That makes sense.
You were
pass.
asked to leave forcibly.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't like that my credit card company got bought out. So
Oh.
they're like, you're of no use to us anymore. please."
Right. That,
Big friends.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about Bit Brigade, and they kind of do these instrumental
guess Bit-
covers.
I don't know. I got a question for you all. So, in growing up,
Whoa!
like, did you all have a time period where, like, you were like in your teens and just like listening to normal music, not video game covers or video game OSTs?
You mean has it always been like this?
Yes.
Yeah, it's always been like this.
I actually
all-
had there was a brief departure for me. Well, for a couple of years, right? In college, I was head of our video game club for the college, so I would always be making playlists to play at the events, right? So I had I went through a lot of Gilva Center at the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But like when I graduated, I found that I kind of moved away from that, and most of my vinyl collecting centered around like grown-up quote unquote music, like jazz and theater scores and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, kind of me too. Like in high school and college, a little bit. I didn't pay too much attention to video game soundtracks, but then like what brought me back was rock band covers, like
Yeah.
Oh,
like
damn, yeah.
Neskimos and the mini bosses, and I felt like Bit Brigade. They came later, but they're kind of like a natural extension of those two bands.
Yeah, that's for sure. But then, like, there was always like there was a kind of difference to me between the bands that just do covers, because a lot of bands will do covers of video game soundtracks, but do it in like a certain feel. Like you'll
Yeah.
have one artist or one band that will just do like smooth jazz covers of a bunch of different music. Like you have Insane in the Rain, and I absolutely adore anything that man puts out. And then you have on the flip side of it are bands that do video game inspired things, right? Like what comes to mind are the Proto Men. Their whole Mega Man inspired like continuity and story is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I guess Proto Man kind of brought me back into listening to video game music as well. And none of those bands, like Proto Man, didn't get their stuff on vinyl for a while. I think Bit Brigade was the first kind of big or rock band that I recall putting like full album covers like this.
I saw them live at
On
an
vinyl.
arcade show doing their speed running stuff.
Seems like the tour type quite a bit, yeah. I mean, everyone just saw them on the tour they went on, but I feel like I've heard a lot of people like intermittently say they're going to see Bit Brigade.
Alex G, I think you should just admit it. Parental floss is what got you listening to video game music again.
Oh god, I haven't heard that name.
No, I haven't.
Holy crap.
Just
This is a safe spot to talk about it. So.
Whoa,
Yes,
what is
don't
it?
know.
Floss.
I know the name a little bit because he was a friend of a podcast I used to listen to, but I don't actually know the person himself or like what he does.
Let's get him on the show.
He does probably the funniest material I've ever listened to.
Frank's just about to tank that invite that we're gonna get Brental Floss on here.
I'm being very sincere.
Yeah, please resend that email.
Wait, no, he said he's being sincere. I can tell. Never mind. Brental Floss. Brental Floss. Brental Floss will.
Why
be on
haven't you
next
put
week.
on a vinyl?
Yeah.
Yeah, why no Brental floss vinyl?
Oh, because the floss in Brental Floss is wax free. I'm sorry.
Makes sense, I guess.
I like it. We'll take that.
Carrie mentioned in chat, Bit Brigade vinyl is a little weird because it contains zero of the energy of the live shows, and I do agree with that. I kind of got rid of my Bit Brigade vinyl because it's just, well, I had Mega Man 2 released officially, and Zelda and Metroid. I had all those, and that was the thing I didn't really feel. But
If there's something I
hard.
can respect, it's when a band sounds better live than they do in the studio.
For sure.
I don't know if that. I guess I haven't thought about that in terms of video game music, but you know, if that is true, I can accept that as a good cause for a band.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen them live, but I think just from listening to the studio albums, I'd say that's like straightforward, but in a good way. I
Yeah.
guess is how I'd say it. Like it just is what it is.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, I'll go see them
overall
live
enjoyable.
again.
Pico, what do you think about Bit Brigade?
I like Bit Brigade.
We got one.
Yay!
Why do you like them?
I saw them live one time. I know, like, I could have jumped in at any time you guys were
Yeah,
talking about them live.
I feel
I
like
need to see
Yeah,
everyone
they bring a
has
lot
seen
of
them.
energy.
No.
And I think it's because they don't play live on a click, and they do in the studio. So there's kind of like more of a natural rhythm, and you can get faster as like the song gets more intense. You know, when you play live and not to a click. So
Yeah.
I think just why they're better live.
It's more organic, I guess.
Yeah, it's more of like a natural rhythm.
Yeah, and they do kind of have to play organically because they're playing their shtick is someone speedrunning the game and they're playing the music to it. So they have to adapt to, you know, when the level gets beat or
Is that
when
the
they enter a
concept?
dungeon or so on.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really cool actually. That's But then again, I guess right when you remove that aspect of it in like say a music release like a CD or vinyl, then that's half of the hype, I
Right.
guess, gone, right? So-
Yeah.
See, my enjoyment of this vinyl is like associating it with that memory of seeing them,
I
because
see.
that's where I got it. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have gone after getting one of these.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, it brings back memories. So
Mhm.
I'm noticing right now that the first presses of these don't have the Bit Brigade
Why is this
presents
so hard
on.
to say?
That was getting us.
The Brit Brigade. Yeah.
I'm realizing how little I've ever said it out loud.
Right. The most Bit Brigade talked about podcast.
I think they went through a period where they were worried that it would be like deceptive and
Yeah.
look too much like an actual like a chiptune soundtrack.
Yeah. I like how the covers are paintings.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, love me some cover art.
Well, hey, Aster, thank you for coming on and talking
Oh, yeah,
about
thank
us
you for
with,
having me.
Appreciate
Brit
it.
Burbabe.
Burger.
Burger.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh yeah, love me some burger.
Burger. All right, we're at the 30-minute mark. So, real quick, we have a word from our sponsors, Stanley Anderson Motorcycles. So yeah, we'll be right back.
This episode has been brought to you by Stanley Anderson Motorcycles.
Thank you so much to Stanley Anderson. What a well-informative sponsor that was. Yeah,
I'm buying 3 right now.
you should. I mean, 4 payments. Isn't that one thing that's absolutely free? I mean, what more could you want?
True.
So, I saw someone in the chat talking about Kirby's Dream Band in comparison to Bit Burbabe. That is Caleb I wanted to talk to. Putting up some fighting words between them.
I think Kirby's
Oh
Dream
my
Band
God.
definitely has a better translation to vinyl.
I agree. 100%. Hey Caleb, Are
Yo,
you
sorry, I
there?
realized I was muted.
I forgive you this once.
I don't think it was fighting words. I did
Fighting
before
words.
before I said that I preferred Kirby's Dream Band over Bit Brigade, I also said that I do love Bit Brigade.
You did.
We have to stop saying Bit Brigade.
I know.
I
It's
can't handle
way
it.
harder than you think.
It feels like it's melting in my ears. Like the little on like Sega games where I don't know if this was like universal with them, but there's this baseball game I used to play, and if you like mashed the pause button really fast, the audio chip would get all fucked up. Like it would like say play ball, and it'd start like melting into like a flurry of just sound, like blah blah. And
That's
this
us
is what
with
it's beginning
Burger
to feel
Babe.
like. Yes.
I would do something similar to that on Diddy Kong Racing because they would always, if you just mashed A and B at character select, they would
Oh,
have
yeah.
this little
Yes.
quip, and then they'd get sad if you unselected them as a character.
Would sound get fucked up though, or is that
No.
like a sound chip? That thing? I don't. I never investigated it much. It struck me one time as a child, and I was like, hell yeah, this rocks. Kirby's Dream Band.
Yeah, Kirby's Dream Band.
They're
Fucking just they're the tightest people. They're just tight. And by that I mean that they're cool, but also they're the music that they do is very, very precise, I would
I had
say.
no idea where that was going.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I've only heard the first album, but I do like that they don't overstay their welcome in songs. Like a lot of the songs on that album are like just they're titled after the game, and then they have a mixture of a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so Kirby's Dream Band obviously is heavy on the Kirby song covers, but then it's almost a 50-50 split of Kirby songs and then songs from other
everything.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how all of their albums and EPs are. I mean, granted, these are the only two that are on vinyl. But
there's a couple of EPs that have no Kirby songs, right?
Right. Yeah. There's a couple. God, one of my favorite covers is they do a Wave Race 64 medley, and it's just like the most perfect rendition I've ever heard of anything Wave Race.
Like something about the medley of their songs is just kind of exactly what I want out of cover music. Especially on a vinyl format of just, like Alex said, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it also covers pretty much all I'd want to hear, and much more with the split of Kirby music and just other good music.
Yeah, no, the arrangements that they come up with are very, I guess unique. You could say unique.
Yeah.
I think the way that they choose to interpret some of the more 16-bit music into full instruments is very well thought out, very precise too on the notes. They don't take liberties in terms of notation, but like obviously they make it a unique sound. And I know a lot of the driving factor for Kirby's Dream Band is the drummer Eric. He's the one who pushes for basically perfection on all of the tracks, and that's why Motherfucking Earthbound is another favorite of mine. Also, yeah, I'm very biased because...
Why would you be biased?
Because I helped release the vinyl for it. But,
okay.
But no, like Eric is a really strong driving factor for that, and he's involved in so much other music too, non-VGM stuff. He's in like 3 or 4 bands.
Oh wow!
It's all just like crazy. That dude does not stop.
When you're a drummer, you kind of have to be in like 3 or 4 different bands.
Yes, that's true.
Right? To clarify, this isn't Eric Buckholes, right?
No, it's not Eric Butthole.
Oh,
it's...
not Eric. Not Eric Butthole.
Just making sure.
Okay. No. A buttholeless soundtrack. Okay.
I was actually not aware that it was the same guy who was drumming in Kirby's Dream Band as a Motherfucking Earthbound. That's cool.
Yeah, he's super talented, dude. I mean, he plays every single instrument, obviously with MFE, but
one album he put out is so great. I can't remember the name of it. The workout one.
Athletic Aesthetic, which is all like 80s gym workout music video game covers.
Yeah, I really like that one.
I wanted to release it on vinyl, but there's a lot of stuff on there that is like no possible way for legalities.
Speaking of motherfucking
anyway.
Since you're here, I do have a thing with Motherfucking Earthbound and I guess Mana Wave to an extent.
Two very similar albums, you know.
Very similar. But I just had a hunch, maybe Channel 3 or someone from Debug would be around.
That's me.
Yeah.
No, I when Alex mentioned earlier today that it was a podcast about cover albums, I was like, oh, I gotta be here to hear Pico talk shit about the cover albums I released.
I actually own Motherfucking Earthbound.
Good, you should.
And Mana Wave, I think. Yes, I do. I own both of those.
So is the barometer for a good cover album, or even a great cover album, is the barometer Pico saying that it's not shit?
I think it's a factor.
I'm sorry, but I've honestly never opened either of them. I'm sorry.
You're getting sales up. That's all that counts, right?
My
Right?
stipulation.
No, I want him to
on-
listen to it. I want Pico to listen to it, and I want him to tell me to my face that it's a shitty album. That's my dream.
What I like to see in cover albums is like for them to like embody the music differently instead of just like play the sound font to the exact same BPM that the original song was. And like even if they change it up a little, like I like to see it in like a whole nother style. That would be cool. I'm
I
always
think
saying like bossa
cover should breathe
nova.
life.
Yeah.
Cover should breathe life into the original material. That's why not mentioned on the screen, but Echo and Hyrule is a really cool release. 'Cause
Like
it's
your band has a sound and then that sound fits this video game. You know what I mean? It's not like I have a cover band and I'm gonna go make these sounds. It's like you fit the game doesn't fit you. And I feel like some cover albums like shows that in the music. Like you listen to it and you're like, damn, these guys were perfect for fucking this. Like they should have done the original soundtrack. This is fucking amazing. Or you hear it and you're like, this is literally a soulless travesty. How the fuck is anybody buying this? How the fuck did they even release this? How is this not copyright infringement?
So, to kind of to that point, one thing about the I think 4 cover albums that I've been involved with on vinyl so far: MFE, Mana Wave, Esper Wave, HO, and Hyrule. Those are all albums that were already in existence or already being worked on by the musicians. It was not something that like I picked a musician and said, hey, I want you to cover this video game soundtrack. So I think that's part of it too, is that, you know, the musicians behind all of those 4 albums that, you know, cover albums that I've been involved with so far have like, those were things that they sought out on their own and wanted to release on their own. It's not something that they were paid to specifically create a cover album of.
Right,
So
it was done out of passion.
You're getting the passion and more artistic integrity out of the musicians if it's something that like they're invested in personally and they're not just being told go cover this, go cover that type of thing.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's pretty easy to understate in a lot of ways, like what a difference that makes. At least, I don't know, from my perspective, I think it's a true difference maker, you know, whether something's just, and you know, same could be said for, you know, any medium of art. Like if a artist isn't invested, like, you know, somewhat like emotionally in what they're trying to create or achieve, then, you know, it can be good, of course. Like some people are just fucking good at everything they do, but like you know, it's bound to have a much greater like resonance to it if you know, if there's that spirit behind it. I feel like
I think it comes through. It's an intangible thing that's hard to quantify, but I think it definitely is something that can be felt. You know, I'm a sucker for cover albums too. Like I'll listen to covers of anything by anybody for the most part, but when it comes to things that I want to see on vinyl, that's one of the like prerequisites that I have, is that it has to be something that the musician is like familiar with and in love with the source material, and something that they are like pursuing on their own before I, you know, get involved with coming to vinyl.
And I think,
go ahead.
I think in that way, like, you know, cover albums of video game music is not that much different from covering like cover bands at bars doing like there are people who do phone it in, who are just there
for sure.
a paycheck, or there because there's an audience that will eat this up. Whereas, you know, I've seen a few cover bands that have just like floored me entirely. Like they used to, on St. Patrick's Day, there used to be a cover band for the Pogues, and it was, I would never see the Pogues otherwise. So it was absolutely phenomenal. But like most other cover bands I've encountered have just been lackluster, and you know,
I think there is something to say for what you're mentioning. Is like you know, most of this music, for the most part, you're not going to have a chance to see it like live or experience it in that capacity, if that is an option with, you know, the artist covering the music in these cases. I mean, not all of them are, you know, gonna have live performances, but you know, like a lot of that stuff, just there's no other real recourse for a live show. So that is kind of cool, as it allows that to happen.
Mhm.
I'd like to see Kirby's Dream Band live. I think that would be fun. I
Yeah.
don't know if they've ever done live shows or
They do.
Some-
They do live shows a lot.
Some people were saying that in chat, yeah. So that would be cool.
I think the reason motherfucking Earthbound works so well is it embraces the diversity of the originals. Like it, because the original Earthbound soundtrack is so off the wall and all over the place, and is inspired by so many different styles and real
Right.
bands, and like it plays into that really well. I think.
That's a good thought.
If I remember correctly, when talking with Eric about this album, he had mentioned to me that every single song from motherfucking Earthbound has one instrument that he plays that is unique to just that song.
Oh,
which
I love that.
is really cool. I mean, it could be something as simple as like, I know he has like a speak and spell, like he's considering that an instrument in one of the songs. Just some tiny little instrument that is not used in any other place in the rest of the album, which it's a 2 LP. It's a relatively long cover album, and I mean those sides are they're getting close to pushing the limits of of duration, but
it's two games, so
but it does manage to stay pretty fresh, I think, for the most part throughout the whole album. Again, I'm very biased, so take everything I say with a grain of salt.
just a little biased.
Having a fresh take on that is probably incredibly important, especially for, at the time MFE came out, there was already official presses of Mother 2, right?
Yeah,
So-
that was the only reason we were able to do it.
and Mother 1.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, okay, both of them were pressed on vinyl at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This is a little sidebar. The Mr. Saturn on the cover.
It's so
It- every single time it gets me,
Can you
it absolutely
explain-
fucks my day up. How funny that is to me.
What is the cover? Like, can you explain it?
So that is a real life depiction of Eric, and
Okay.
I believe his girlfriend too.
Okay.
And then Mr. Saturn, Mr. Saturn is the guy who mastered the album as well as played guitar as a guest in a few of the songs. Like he did a couple of guest guitar solos.
That is so
Okay.
funny.
His name is Andreas. He's credited on the Discogs as the mastering engineer and guest musician. He's not credited as Mr. Saturn, but anybody in the know knows that that's him.
Now we know. I feel like that's been a question. Everyone's been like, "Who is this? what is this?"
I love it so
It's so
dearly.
funny, it's so
Every time I
goofy.
pull it out, I'm just like, yes.
I mean, it embodies the whole goofiness of Earthbound in general. So
Walter White.
Yeah.
Some Walt vibes.
I have a couple more thoughts on cover albums if you are interested in hearing them.
Yeah, we haven't really talked
we
about
got
that.
we got a bunch lined up. I'll keep you around. I don't mind.
No, I just meant cover albums in general. Nothing really specific. That I
Oh, we're
wanted to
getting
talk about.
specifics because I made pictures. We're
Yeah,
talking
we got a whole
about ska.
graph.
We're talking about ska.
What's the next cover album?
Banjo Kazooie. That's
I-
right.
I want to know why Pico dislikes this, because you mentioned that you wanted like something that goes out of the norm, that goes in a completely different direction, like Bossa Nova album, and so this is something that goes in a complete left field direction.
And it's a ska band that did it, right?
Yeah. So they are playing their music to the album, like they aren't adapting their themselves to the music.
One,
So
I don't
theoretically-
like fucking ska. I hate ska so much. Two, Banjo Kazooie is already kind of ska,
Yeah.
so it's like you're just playing the same shit.
I was listening to a lot of these albums before this podcast, and I had never listened to Banjo Kazooie, and I had that vibe of just why This just kind of sounds like it. Not much else to it. Why does this exist?
On the weird genre choices and adaptations, I'm kind of curious, Caleb, if there's a genre or style you would like to see, just like any video game music cover band or album in.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more, like, I don't know, like coffee, like jazzy kind of.
Okay.
Not piano, not piano covers, but like has like a little bit of piano. There's a
90s R&B club hits Banjo Kazooie.
Oh, it's fucking rock.
Let's go.
I would buy it.
I would love like solo acoustic cover album. That would be very fun for me. Like someone who knows how to play like a classical guitar. Oof.
Okay.
Oh my god, these bees are fucking me up.
Bees.
And of course, yeah, getting 8-Bit Big Band on vinyl would be another dream.
Oh, that'd be
yeah.
huge. Yeah. Shout out to them.
They do some great work. But I
just think no more metal covers. I think that's like the easiest genre to
Yeah.
do.
So, admittedly, I'm a huge sucker for video game metal covers. I will never put one on vinyl. Just preemptively want to say that I will never do it. I think it is a little played out. I think YouTube 2006 was like the peak of video game
Oh yeah.
metal covers. I mean, that being said, I still will regularly listen to them to this day.
I
So
mean,
many genres fit it, like Castlevania, Mega Man. They fit like metal like so perfectly.
Neskimos did a metal cover of Grape Garden, and I remember loving that. I thought that was, that's not a metal song, but they made it kind of a metal song, and
Kirby, right?
yeah, from Kirby's Adventure.
I'm gonna go look that up.
What are your guys' favorite style of cover album? I think mine would probably be like the analog synth remakes.
Uh-huh.
Like Metroid Resynth.
Yeah, or like
Dude,
the
that
Switch Down
album
series.
slaps.
Finding out those were analog synth albums gave me a new appreciation for them.
These
I
bad boys?
hadn't known that previously. What was that?
These bad boys that I just changed the picture to.
These bad boys.
Damn
Our
right.
producer is so on it. Yeah, that made me care about them a lot more personally.
Love the warmth to them, like especially on vinyl. It's so fitting.
God, Metroid Resynth is so good. I remember the first time I heard it, I was talking with Ryan, and he sent me like the lossless wave files, and I was just like completely mind blown. I was like, it's not too terribly often that I get jealous about things that other people are releasing. I was legitimately jealous about that when I first heard that. I was like, holy shit, this thing is going to be incredible.
And I really think I think it made sense. Like they did some promotional stuff with Metroid Resynth where they put it on reel to reel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's
I
just
think
so
it makes-
good.
I
It's
think
just
it
like
makes sense for that album for sure.
it's just like if John Carpenter made a Metroid movie. That's all it is. It's like the movie Alien, but Metroid.
It works
Not by John
super
Carpenter.
well, yeah.
I don't know what I'd consider a different favorite genre. Because I like that idea of the jazz kind of covers as well.
Yeah, I don't know how to
I'm-
describe it, like a coffee cafe type of cover.
As far as the Pico's question of favorite kind of, or I guess covers you'd like to see more of.
Well, like I remember Carrie said her favorite was symphony, so I was like, everybody's got to have a favorite style of cover album.
Right.
I am a sucker for lo-fi stuff when it's done
Whoa.
a certain way.
Experimental noise rock covers that don't even
Yeah,
sound
I
like
mean,
the original soundtrack.
That's what I mean. Like, if it could get anything like as close as it can get to some like dissonant, like noisy, like weirdness, that usually is good for me.
Did someone
feel
bring
like
up like chamber music covers before?
I've never heard chamber pop
This is a great
Pokemon covers.
great time to bring up the ant.
Or I said Pokemon, so I read that. But is there chamber pop video game music covers?
Soon.
It should be.
Or like Baroque?
I've switched the picture over to the And Chill series, which is lo-fi. Are you a fan of these? Of your favorite possible cover genre?
I personally enjoyed them. I don't know. There's always a feeling to me that like I don't know how to word it correctly. There's a certain like cheapness to it, but it's not. It doesn't off. It's not off-putting to me at all. So it's weird to feel like it's my favorite, but I would say it's the most like I don't know listenable thing to me. Like as far as video game music covers go, if that is like clocks at all.
Yeah, I've heard a few people kind of describe the And Chill series as like stuff you could just have on in the background that's nice, like passive listening.
I feel like these cover albums are like you could kind of imagine exactly what they would sound like, not even having heard them before. Like they're so predictable. I don't know.
Doesn't And Chill mean hooking up? Why are these albums telling me that I need to listen to this and go hook up?
It is sort of it seems like it's spawned from that
It's
meeting.
so cringy. I don't even get the joke, honestly.
Well, I mean, it's a pun.
Babe, you want to come over for some Mario and chill?
I mean, maybe that is what they're talking about. Who knows?
Yeah, I think it might be.
I think it's a little saturated. at
Didn't
this
you
point.
include Mario?
Yeah. That's why I have a hard time saying.
I don't know,
it's,
because
like,
that's who I want to chill
favorite.
with. Ganon, Dwarf Daddy, and chill.
I agree with Caleb of the oversaturation.
Yeah,
That's why
It's
hard
getting
for me
there.
to say. It's my
Leather
favorite.
Captain
It's
Falcon
like,
and chill.
it seems a little too easy and maybe obvious, but I think when it's done right, there's like a lot of like enjoyability to be had.
Now we got Chocobo and Chill,
Ugh.
Minnie Mouse and Chill, right?
Minnie Mouse
Mhm.
and chill.
Chow
Jeez.
Gardens and chill.
Samus and Chill. That's what that's
Ice Climbers and Chill.
Oh,
Wait, like half of these are real, aren't they?
Honestly, Samus would scare the shit out of me if I ever met her.
So with the and chill stuff, I mean I enjoy them. I listen to them. Again, I'm a complete sucker for video game covers. But I have a question that I've thought about a lot, and I'm interested to hear your guys' takes. Obviously, if you're familiar with Mana Wave and Esper Wave, do you consider those lo-fi?
sort of.
Yes and no.
Lo-fi elements to them.
Yeah, but that's my thing.
But
It's like
It's
when
not like dialed in generic lo-fi. It's
When I think lo-fi, I think under quality, like demo
it's
that has like a certain grungy to it because the sound is terrible.
Yeah, for me, I imagine like I think of like I don't know, sort of like bedroom, like boom bap, hip hop type of stuff when I think of lo-fi, and like electronic adjacent musics. So because they're kind of like presented, or a lot of these releases are presented that way to a certain capacity, I just kind of roll with it. But it's not really what I would consider lo-fi. But I feel like within the confines of like a video game cover music, it's sort of like the impression that lots of these albums have decided to try to give.
Yeah, and
Does that make
that's my
sense?
that makes sense, and that's my thing too. Is like me personally, I don't consider those albums to be lo-fi, but it definitely has a lot of elements. So
Like lo-fi inspired. I
it
don't want to say
remind me a lot
vaporwave-ish.
they remind me a lot of like Boards of Canada type of lo-fi.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've just seen those albums described in the past as lo-fi, and I'm like, is it really though? I mean, I
think
can't.
lo-fi and vaporwave get mixed in a lot together, and I mean, Mana Wave, like that's a Mana Wave and Esper Wave, they are takes on vaporwave, I would assume.
My hot take is that the advent of vaporwave totally destroyed a lot of people's perception of what a lot of music is.
Uh-huh.
To the point where people just started wantonly calling everything vaporwave or lo-fi.
You guys remember when
Like, almost
vaporwave
as a
was like
direct result.
people in wetsuits and dolphins and
No, that-
What?
Wait, what was
And, like,
what they call that shit? It was a fucking oh my god, what was? Yeah, C-Punk. Thank you. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Yeah, I had so many friends on that C-Punk shit. I mean, I was probably pretty close to it at one point when I was like 16 or something.
Yeah, that's
Zach,
just vaporwave now.
If someone, Zach mentioned something, if someone did an actual IDM cover of a video game album, I think I'd be into that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Amon Tobin.
Like Wave and Esperwave are like the closest thing to that right now.
Is there any? So like, there's the Amon Tobin album, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, which
rules.
It does rule. Is there any other like official soundtrack non-cover albums that are in that territory? I can't totally think of any at the moment.
I don't know. Amon Tobin is like pretty unique.
Yeah, he's so singular. But I mean, that's pretty like, as far as like IDM goes, that's about as like sort of prolific as it gets, I feel like. But it's another of those genres that like is what? And do you disagree with this?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to think.
Oh,
of like,
this is like I'd be open to hearing it, but I don't know. I just think I don't know. That's like one of the faces of it that pops up to me, like when I think of IDM. At least as far as like prolific artists go. So it, like, to me, it's cool to see a video game soundtrack use him. But most like IDM artists are so obscure that I feel like it would be good territory for maybe like a cover album, because most aren't big enough to do, I would say, like many soundtracks.
It's not really IDM, but I feel like Fallout, the first two Fallout games are like very inspired by the ambient, like Aphex Twin stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You can get Venetian Snares to do a video game album. I'm surprised like people like him haven't been approached yet. He puts out so much.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that would be adapted for a cover. Because I feel like, I don't know,
cool.
I can't even think about like an IDM cover of other music.
Yeah, it would be challenging and neat.
Super deconstructed sort of thing, but they're into that shit. Deconstructed.
Demastered.
Is that kind of?
I knew that's where that was going.
Tony Hawk.
Oh,
I didn't see a picture of Tony Hawk. He's just grab while I was doing all this, so I found the Halo and Mario Kart 64 cover thing.
I love the concept of Mario Kart NES. Mario Kart 64 done in NES style. I think it just immediately I'm just
I wish it could have been better.
Yeah.
I wish the person had like a lot more creativity with the platform, because they were just like missing like a ton of stuff.
Like if someone does something like makes an N64 soundtrack on LSDJ, like I think I would listen to that on vinyl. I think that would be so cool. But like I think who was it? Trogdoorbad, I think, mentioned in the chat when Mario Kart NES was coming out that like they kind of just used generic sound fonts and like weren't actually reconstructed in NES style. And
there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with the NES, and they did no swoopy swoops, and that's like the coolest fun thing that all the NES.
Swoops, dog.
That's what they do.
Anamanaguchi
is all about the fucking swoopy shit you could do on an NES.
Damn, don't even compare this to Anamanaguchi. That's just don't even.
Halo Demastered's kind of like Anamanaguchi.
I feel like okay, so I listened to the little bit of Halo Demastered before this. I feel like it's trying to be like Super Metroid, I guess. Like, but Halo? Like, what if Halo was Super Metroid? That's how it sounds like to me.
That is kind of what I feel like Halo would sound like if it was done in like a 32-bit sound font or 16-bit sound font or something.
I have such a hard time coding in trackers. That shit is so fucking hard. My brain is not built like that.
What?
That's like what they use to like demaster stuff.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, it's like a style of input on your computer, which is just like it's almost kind of like code, but not. Yeah, it's super fucking. Or I'm just dumb, but I have the
sounds
hardest
involved.
time with track.
It was Super Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Was that? I hadn't listened to it at all yet. After I started being disappointed with Mario Kart NES, was that like NES style or SNES style covers of the songs in Tony Hawk?
I think it's
Like the-
NES, even though it's called Super Tony Hawk.
Gotcha. Okay, and it's like, is it the actual like licensed songs in Tony Hawk, or is it something different?
It's just the licensed songs.
Yeah.
In the preview track, it was Goldfinger.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want Superman on 8-bit, there you go.
Thankfully, I do not. But that's just me.
I'm sure like MIDIs exist for all these songs.
Right.
So, for all I know, like they could have just taken the MIDIs and
Made it all
converted them.
similar, Yeah.
Not an
so-
uncommon practice.
I don't have the NES Mario Kart 64, but I've seen pictures of it, and I think the only like one of the things that I like enjoyed about seeing the pictures isn't the TV screen like a lithograph or something like that? Like
The whole
it's not.
No?
Well,
yes,
it's
the art's normal, and then it has like an insert, right? That's
yeah. Like why isn't
lenticular,
it just the
whatever.
jacket? It's like he couldn't get it on the jacket itself, so he just included an insert instead.
Oh, I see.
So it's not like that Breath of the Wild boot where
Got
it's
it.
like the actual
Yeah.
jacket. It's like a separate piece.
Oh.
But if you put it in front of it, it looks
You
just
can
like the
you can
jacket.
pretend. Yeah, it's just the same art except the whole thing is.
Oh, interesting. I thought that was
lenticular or whatever.
the jacket.
And it's not a very good lenticular.
it's not-
to you.
it's
That's
not-
just
what
like
I said
so it's just
lithograph. I meant lenticular.
Oh, yeah.
moves the frame.
It's
It's
not
just like-
particularly compelling, the movement or anything. Well, I think it's like like a shell is like going around Toad or something. It's like a green shell.
something like that. It's like it
That's so
doesn't. It looks
simple.
like it's barely moving.
All that effort for that. That's a
Well,
shame.
it's slightly less cool now.
You tried. And
I mean,
that's
I
what
don't have it,
matters.
so I have no idea.
I don't. Yeah. I think I got one more genre, at least as far as pictures go. And that's piano covers.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I feel like they're
Depends on with the
equally
arrangement. Some can be like really
oversaturated.
good, and some can be really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, at
You
face
like
value,
the Undertale one, right? Atrax?
What's that?
You like the Undertale
I
one.
do, but I'm also a huge Undertale sim.
I think both of these are good.
Yeah.
there's such good music too, though. You know, I mean,
Right. As far
Yeah,
as these specific ones go, the source material is really good.
right, and it seems like proper to be translated to that medium. But I mean, I guess you could say that for that's something I'm curious about. Let me ask that question: is there any soundtrack that you guys don't like, the original soundtrack that you heard a cover of, and you were like, "Damn, like that knocked. It's way better." Because it makes me curious if that's like a pretty important factor in whether or not we would consider the cover good.
Mhm.
Like for me, I'm not interested in the Tony Hawk soundtrack, and so I don't know if I would care for it. I wouldn't really even try to listen to it, the NES cover, but it might. I don't know. Maybe I would enjoy Superman more in a NES sounds. Does anyone have any like thing they can think of like that, or is it usually albums you like that, like original source material that you like that you listen to?
So I think as a slight caveat to that, I don't know if there's really any cover album that I like particularly more than the original, but I will say that if it's something from like the NES and maybe the SNES era, where it's like 8-bit or 16-bit, I think that like ear fatigue sets in quicker with the original as opposed to a cover, because there's a little bit more variety in the instruments when it's a cover. Whereas if it's an 8-bit like NES soundtrack, I mean, you've got a very, very limited sound font to select from. So I find that, like, with me personally, like, I can listen to a cover of like an NES soundtrack longer without having like ear fatigue set in than the original NES OST.
I think that's an interesting interpretation of that question, and also a really good point.
That's such a good point.
I think a good example of that, a good early example of that, is all of the orchestral like Dragon Quest stuff.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Compared to the the Famicom or NES versions, because like that music was kind of intended to be orchestral to begin with. It's just they were so limited as to what they could do.
When are we getting Fire Emblem orchestra cover album?
Soon.
Hopefully soon.
Tomorrow.
Didn't Materia do some Fire Emblem thing or no?
Arousing album was Fire Emblem.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it's like it was
I've
for
never
a
picked
game
it
where
up.
the music's already orchestral because it was for Three Houses, right?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think so. I've never listened to any of
It's like-
Rosin's stuff, so I'm not sure. But that
Yeah,
sounds
it's
right.
like orchestral arrangements of music that's already orchestral.
Jokes on you, I have this picture ready.
Look at my man.
We need Sacred Dragon Samba.
Tomorrow. That's when it's coming.
I always thought Rosin, whatever. I always thought Rosin stuff was pretty overrated.
It's just too much.
I think
in
it's
my opinion.
put in a really nice package. Or in my it's a good looking package generally,
Mhm.
and I think that helps sell the point a little bit better. Not to speak to the quality of it because I haven't heard it, but when I see it, I'm like, oh, like the Majora's Mask cover. I'm like that's fucking sick. But for me,
with like
it doesn't go beyond that.
orchestra covers in general, I typically find to be a little bit bombastic, where it's just like it's like a little like inflated beyond I don't know, beyond its own importance, I guess. Like they're good. Like, I mean, there's some very, very talented orchestral cover musicians out there, but for me personally, I just find that like I don't know, like
it's just a step above where I want it to be, and it's just
right,
like,
yeah,
it's kind of overwhelming.
Exactly.
I'd rather
Perfect.
just kind of. I know typically with a lot of things, we're like, I'd rather just hear the songs, but I don't mind some of these orchestral arrangements, but just these big ones. Oh.
They come in hard,
Yeah.
and it's just like I don't know if I'm ready for that. You
Right,
gotta warm me up a
right.
bit.
I felt that way with Times End 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt with them too, and I really wanted to like those.
Uh-huh.
An interesting, like one of my favorite games in general soundtracks across the series is the Dragon Quest series, and I kind of feel that way about the orchestral versions sometimes, where I'm just like, damn, this shit's going off, like, and I don't like it.
Going
I
off a
love
little
it
too hard.
Yeah, and I don't know, it kind of, I imagine that's maybe a similar vibe you're referring to some extent, at least in my perception of it.
At least in the Dragon Quest games, you can switch the music to the non-orchestral stuff.
At least recently.
Some of them.
I thought they usually like don't give you the option.
Yeah, usually
Only
don't.
in 11 S Super Edition.
Yeah, we'll see.
I like
See,
that part of 11 where you could play it in that fucking 8-bit mode.
Yeah, being able to play in 8-bit mode was really cool.
I think cream of the crop orchestral video game albums are from the early 90s. They're Japanese albums called Game Music Concert. I don't know if anyone's familiar with those, but they just have selections from like the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra or something. It's just selections from different games from the time period. All of that is just amazing.
Just
Like,
done just the perfect amount, I guess.
if you could find those albums, I don't know if they're on YouTube or maybe they are, maybe they're not, but they're all really, really, really good.
Could someone
have, like-
perhaps provide them on YouTube?
Maybe. If they're not on YouTube already, I'll upload them on YouTube. But,
Alright.
they have like Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, like Nintendo stuff, a whole bunch of stuff on there. They're all really, really good.
Are they all CD or are any of them pressed?
They're only on CD.
So it looks like to me.
A lot of my favorite cover albums are only on CD.
Ooh, I've got a good one for that. The Super Smash Bros. Melee Live Orchestra
Yeah.
CD.
Yeah.
So good. That one's so good. The
Was
FC
that a Smash
one's
pre-order?
good.
Well, F-Zero is just perfect. So
Yeah, the metal guitar
metal guitar, yeah, that's
and,
really, really good.
and the jazz one are both so good.
That is an excellent one.
I would
Hyrule
stop.
Symphony.
I would stop eating Chipotle for a new F-Zero game. I'm just gonna throw that
No.
out there.
Nintendo, if you're listening to us.
Oh, they're listening, dude. Don't worry.
Okay. Nintendo, please. F-Zero, thanks.
So, circling back really quick, I know that there was one cover album that I actually prefer over the original. I just couldn't think of it off the top of my head, but I just remembered, and it's one that we already talked about, and that's Metroid Resynth. I think I would say that I prefer listening to Metroid Resynth over.
I was
Metroid
thinking
Resynth.
exactly that, actually. I didn't say it, but I was thinking the same thing.
Because I had thought about that myself before, and I knew that I had identified one previously, like I don't know, a year or so ago. But that's the one. If I had to pick one cover album that I would say is better than the original, it's Metroid Resynth. Yeah,
There
look
it
at
is.
that picture. Make it big. Yeah.
There we go.
Get rid of Switched On. We don't need that. We just need Metroid.
Fuck you, switched on.
Switched on.
Everybody gets switched on the middle finger.
Yeah, Switched On's been quiet lately. Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
I think it's
They like switched off.
Well, that was the podcast. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Wait a minute. Joey, what's your favorite cover album?
Big ass haunted mansion and chill.
Good night, everybody.